Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how I go about producing modern industrial metal in the vein of bands like Rammstein, 3TEETH, and producers like Mick. It's crazy to me that industrial metal is like only just starting to have a comeback, because we've kind of had, since industrial metal happened before 2 or 3 decades ago when it was like this new thing, digital production has become a thing, and it's a very digital genre, so the possibilities now are so open for what we can do with this sound. Kind of crazy that like we're only just seeing the mainstream metal bands like Architects and Bring the Horizon and Spirit Box sort of start to embrace this sound and do new things with it, because I just feel like the potential is insane. So yeah, today we're going to explore that. I'm going to show you all the tricks that I have for creating something super heavy, super cool sounding. So I want to start with something that kind of teases a heavy riff without being heavy yet. We need to build some tension, so I'm at 100 beats per minute. Nice and stompy. So we're going to go for a simple guitar riff with this tone that is actually very much inspired by the band Polyphia, which are not industrial metal, but it's a super clean and very digital guitar sound. So for me, this is a perfect kind of intro sound, and we're going to play some doomy notes with it. And for this, I'm using the SS11X plugin, which I don't actually recommend. It's a metal plugin, and I feel that it only works well with like cleaner non-metal tones. But I'm using that, and then I'm just pitching it basically so that we've got an octave on top of the main signal. So let's quickly lay down a riff. Same thing on the right. I have a bunch of other guitar sounds I'm going to use, but we'll get into that in a minute. Right now, let's just put some bass down. So I have this Vital preset I made. I love Vital, so this is kind of like, you know, a glidey, kind of funky, wavy, like very, you know, this isn't like a rock thing. This is very much like the digital side of industrial metal. But we're in the key of C. I'm in drop C tuning, by the way. So we'll just go for some C minor. On top of that, I'm going to use this drum kit called Nemesis. It's kind of dubstep-y, but I find that it's pretty cool for industrial stuff, so just to add some movement. We're not going to get into anything too hard with drums yet. So now let's introduce some of these other guitar sounds. So as you can see, there's a lot going on here. Let me quickly break these down. But like I'm saying, the approach with this is kind of, it's industrial metal, it's digital, it's new, it's modern. So why just stick with one amp? So first we have basically the Neural Fortin amp, which if you watch these videos, you know I always use this. To me, it's the most versatile. I can do anything with it. And that just has a tube screamer and then some EQs to shape the tone. Very standard metal tone just to give it some body. Then we have the Korn guitar sound that I made a video on. And then we have this like Smashing Pumpkins, Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails. Very heavy sound, which is pretty much that metal sound, but running into Decapitator very, very hard, and then running into a guitar fuzz at the end of the signal chain. So that's completely destroyed and very reminiscent of like early 2000s industrial. So I'm going to use all those sounds together, and we'll start by just emphasizing like this. And on the right. And as huge as this guitar sound is with all these tracks together, you may notice it kind of lacks body. It's kind of just like a wash of distortion, and that is intentional, and it's because the synths are just so powerful. Modern bass synths. I'm just using Vital on this. I'm not using Serum or anything. But what you can do with a modern synthesizer can be so powerful, so we're just gonna let the synths really take care of the low end. And then of course it has to go. So I found these samples of a crowd at a hockey game. Hockey fans, feel free to sue me for using your vocals in this. Alright, and the last thing for this intro, as usual, I'm going to use the Get Good Drums metal kit. You can see here I've soloed the kick drum. So I've just separated these tracks out. We've got a snare, a kick, and some overheads. And I'm just literally going to throw down some crashes. So that will really emphasize the beat. And then we've just got the snare. So we'll keep the drums doing a similar thing. Keep the kick pulse. Super simple, but that's all we need, because the guitar really is going to be the thing that's carrying the rhythm. There's a little more movement in that, whereas the drums, we just want it straightforward. And we'll keep this going on the Nemesis kit, but just put a kick under it all. Nice. And then I have a second Nemesis kit with all the high end taken out. This one doesn't, so let's really make this one slap. Super, super heavy, this plugin. It's a big snare. Let's keep the lead guitar part going, and then just throw the whole thing down an octave lower. Alright, and now to make this super, super heavy, let's just put the same guitar riff on all these bass tracks. So And these bass sounds are just vital. Honestly, I'm not a synth expert, but I tend to find if you want something heavy, go with a waveform that looks like this, and it will sound pretty nasty, especially with some distortion. So yeah, we just have a bunch of different distortions on that. Then all these others, we're just going to put the same thing on every track. These are just like layered together with slightly different processing and stuff, but all with the goal of just creating one huge sound. So I've got different types of distortion going on. This one has temper on it. That one's an octave lower. So together, you know, the whole goal here is just to orchestrate one huge sound all working together. The guitars, the drums, the synths. This one is like more like an 808 or something, like a stabby kick drum. That's one of my favorite sounds I've made, and it's basically just a sine wave with some modulation and pitching, so the pitch starts higher and boom, shoots down like a laser. Bunch of distortion and compression on it, chorus, and then a lot of decapitator pushing it just to the point of absolute insanity. And then we actually have a kind of modest, just industrial sound, which again, it's just adding another dimension to the sound. Some more high end that we didn't have there, and just some more like chorusy kind of texture in the low end. Alright, and if that isn't heavy enough, I'm going to layer some kick and snare samples. Nasty. I think that one was from a Ghost Hack kind of sample pack. And then a cool trick for anything super stompy like this, not only are we going to have a snare, which again, that's just kind of like for the attack, just kind of gives a bit more slap to the snare. You don't even notice it, but what you do kind of notice is the reverse snare. That's a trick that I like to use all the time because it just basically tells the listener, oh shit, something's coming, like something powerful is coming. If it's got like a before it hits, it just makes it feel heavy. Gotta have the reverse snare in there. And the last little thing for this part is a track that I called Clank, which again, this is one of my go-tos. It's just in Cubase as this industrial kit. And if you watch these videos a lot, you'll notice I use this anytime I do something industrial because it just takes up no space in the mix, super high, and it just adds like a slap on the snare. I just want to jump in, guys, and say if you're enjoying this video, hit the subscribe below, leave a comment, let me know what else you want to see on this channel, and if you want to buy this track or you want to work together, all that stuff's in the description. Hit me up or check out my BeatStars. That being said, let's get back into it. Alright, so now we're really getting somewhere. We're building the base of a really cool industrial metal song. Let's copy everything just straight back over, make it twice as long, and on the second time around we'll bring in some high synth. So I have these. So this is called Disturbed Bass in Cubase, and it's just a stock sound. And I just find that that bass sound is like the perfect industrial sound. And there's a good lesson in that whatever you are working with, because I figured that out from when I had no plugins except what's in Cubase. So I figured out, oh, this is a pretty cool sound, even though most of the stock Cubase stuff is like bad pianos and stuff. Work with what you have and you'll find the right sounds somehow. So yeah, never overlook stuff that you have that's just free in your DAW. And we'll put it on this track as well. Oh, that's like a squeal. All this shit going on. So much distortion, tons of EQ, stereo imager, chorus, reverb, vibrato. I mean, the vibrato is the main thing, giving it the characteristic. Super fast vibrato just makes it feel like a horror film. So yeah, it's kind of like a horror-inspired industrial high synth, just to keep things interesting the second time round. Alright, so verse, we're going to lay down just a very simple industrial kick here. So we'll slowly build things up. Slowly build tension towards the chorus coming back in. And we're going to work with some other bass sounds. So this is just that slappy 808 type thing, but slightly altered on a separate track. So we're going to blend two sounds. The verse we are essentially building from that sound, because this one again. It's kind of this interplay between two sounds. It sounds like one big thing, but it's kind of going dum bum 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 bum. And the whole goal, I would say, with this genre is to make it feel like it's just going bang, bang. But it's obviously not going to be that interesting if it does that. So you kind of shape everything around the beat bum, 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 so that it's got the movement, but it just makes you feel the beat and nothing else. Everything is just focused on making the listener nod their head to the beat. These sounds are, again, just variations on that other synth sound. I just goofed around with different sounds until I had something that sounded like a huge together kind of synth sound. So now let's fill in some of the empty space. That's very, very Rammstein to me. And that's just because we've got like half a bar there where it's kind of the kick drum and nothing else. So it's just a little bit of texture, a little bit of melody just to keep it moving. And then halfway through the verse, let's bring back in the original huge bass slap thing. Not bass slap like bass guitar, but sounds kind of like a slap to me. All right, that sounds like a verse. So now we need some kind of pre-chorus that's going to nicely lead us back into that heavy stompy thing. So I just want something that's going to build a ton of tension. Add the kick drum again from the Nemesis kit, just like super, super simple. All right, so then we're going to drop it back into this heavy section, throw another verse on it, put a bridge in there, and then we're pretty much done. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you the finished product, and hopefully you'll agree this sounds super, super heavy, super insane. And I hope I've made my case for industrial metal kind of be in the future. Like, I think we can take this genre a lot further. It's cool to see more people doing it. Yeah, hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, subscribe with notifications on, leave a comment, all that stuff. This track is for sale in my description along with everything else that I've made. Hit me up on Instagram or email if you want to work together. I'm super proud of what I created here, so let's check out the finished product. Let's go.